It was forbidden to speak to the alien queen. She broke the rule by coming to my room at night. Jace had never been one to follow rules blindly. On the massive orbital station where humans and aliens coexisted, every step was tightly regulated. Humans were respected for their skills, yes, but they were also reminded constantly that there were limits. One of the strictest limits was simple: never speak to the alien queen. That rule had been drilled into Jace from the first day he stepped onto the station. No exceptions, no negotiations, no excuses. Jace didn't care much for that rule. It was easy enough to avoid the queen. She was almost always surrounded by guards, advisors, and an invisible wall of etiquette that humans weren't allowed to cross. Still, he knew that breaking it could mean exile, or worse. He preferred to stay out of trouble mostly. But curiosity had a way of sneaking up on him, and tonight it had a very unexpected way of announcing itself. He was hunched over the small console in his quarters, tools scattered around him. The comms array he was repairing was old, even by human standards, but it had been tasked with a critical job: maintaining the station's connection to distant defense satellites. If it failed, no one would even know enemy ships were approaching until it was too late. Jace enjoyed these late-night repairs. The silence of the station after most humans were asleep allowed him to think clearly, to focus. A sudden shift in the shadows made him freeze. At first, he thought it was his imagination. The station's lights cast strange patterns across the walls, and he had spent hours staring at blinking circuits. But the shadow moved again. He felt a strange chill, the kind that made the hair on the back of your neck stand on end. Before he could react, a voice spoke, soft but commanding. "Jace." He spun around, and there she was, the alien queen herself, standing in the middle of his room. Her presence was unlike anything he had ever experienced. She didn't need a crown, robes, or guards to declare her power. It radiated from her every movement, every gesture. You're not supposed to be here," Jace stammered. His heart raced. He knew he should alert the station security or call for help, but the thought of touching a comm terminal or using a code to raise an alarm seemed trivial in comparison to the reality before him. Nyrissa, the queen, tilted her head slightly, her glowing eyes studying him. "I know the rules. I have broken them." This was the most dangerous thing a human could do, yet here she was, standing in his room in the dead of night. Why are you here?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Because I need you," she said simply. "My flagship, it is in danger. Its navigation systems have been sabotaged. If this is not fixed soon, my fleet will be lost. And no one else can solve this. That is why I came to you. And be careful. If anyone sees us." She left the threat unspoken but clear. Jace grabbed his toolkit and followed her through the station corridors. Moving through the empty halls at night, he marveled at the alien technology all around him. The walls shimmered with energy panels, lights shifted as if alive, and soft hums of machines echoed from hidden chambers. He had worked here for years, but walking with the Queen herself made everything feel different, as if the entire station had transformed into a living organism under her influence. When they reached the docking bay where her flagship rested, Jace was awestruck. The ship was enormous, its surface smooth and organic-looking, unlike any human construction. It pulsed with energy, glowing lines running along its hull like veins carrying life itself. He had repaired many ships in his career, but nothing like this. Nyrissa led him inside. The corridors were wider than any human ship, the air scented faintly with something like ozone and flowers, a combination he could not place. The central control room was vast, filled with alien consoles, holographic displays, and strange, undulating instruments that seemed alive. "Show me the problem," Jace said, kneeling beside a panel that blinked erratically. For the next several hours they worked side by side. Jace's hands moved with practiced precision, connecting wires, realigning circuits, and recalibrating alien systems. Nyrissa observed closely, occasionally offering information about the systems he didn't understand. He realized that no one had ever thought to combine human intuition with alien technology before. Where the Queen's engineers saw rules and restrictions, Jace saw patterns, shortcuts, and creative solutions. At one point, an alert blared and a holographic display flashed red. "We are detected," Nyrissa said calmly. "A rogue security droid has entered the ship." Using a mix of human ingenuity and improvisation, he led her through a series of corridors and vents, avoiding the droid's sensors. They moved silently, every step calculated, every shadow used to their advantage. When they finally returned to the control room, Jace found the flaw. It was small, almost insignificant, a tiny misalignment in a quantum relay, but it had caused a chain reaction that disabled the ship's navigation. "Found it," he said, his voice tinged with excitement. "Fixing this should bring the systems back online." She had seen many species, many engineers, many problem solvers. None had approached her ship like this. She saw in humans a combination of intuition, adaptability, and boldness that no alien possessed. As the final connection clicked into place, the ship hummed to life. Lights returned to normal, consoles stabilized, and the hum of the engines became steady. Jace exhaled, relief washing over him. "It's done. Navigation is stable." "Few could have done it," she said, "and fewer would have had the courage to do it knowing the risk." For the first time, he understood something he had only suspected before. Humans had a place in this galaxy not because of rules, but because of their courage, ingenuity, and unpredictability. Nyrissa stepped closer. "You have done more than repair my ship tonight. You have shown me the value of your species in ways my council could never imagine. If discovered, it could mean your exile or worse." And somehow he knew this was only the beginning. Walking back to his quarters, he felt a new sense of purpose. The galaxy was vast, full of rules and dangers, but there was also a place for human courage and ingenuity. And if the Queen herself could see it, perhaps others would, too, one day. When he finally reached his door, he paused. The station was silent. The stars outside shimmered in the black void, distant and mysterious. He knew sleep would not come easily tonight, not because of fear, but because of possibilities. He had glimpsed something extraordinary. And deep down, he could not shake the feeling that the alien queen's visit was only the start of something much larger, something that would change the way the galaxy saw humans forever. Jace had barely settled back into his quarters when the station's soft hum seemed to echo with urgency. He could not sleep. The events of the night, the Queen's visit, the dangerous repair, and the thrill of solving a problem no one else could, kept his mind alert. Yet a small, persistent thought lingered. What would happen next? The Queen had broken every rule by coming to him, and he had risked everything to help her. Somehow, he knew their story was far from over. The next morning, Jace returned to the engineering bay as if nothing had happened. Colleagues greeted him with nods, unaware of the extraordinary night he had lived through. Yet even amidst the routine hum of machines, he could not shake the memory of the Queen's presence, the weight of her gaze, and the quiet admiration she had shown him. Hours later, an urgent alert interrupted his work. The flagship, now stabilized, was sending a direct communication, a request for Jace himself. No one else could interpret the specific diagnostic readings the ship's AI was generating. The human engineer was summoned, and he realized immediately that this was no ordinary request. Nyrissa had asked for him by name. Following strict protocols, he prepared for transport, donning his station uniform and grabbing his essential toolkit. He moved through the corridors quickly but carefully, aware that the station authorities would not understand the importance of his mission. Even a hint that he had contact with the Queen could lead to suspicion, or worse. The transporter activated, and in an instant, Jace felt the familiar tingle of displacement as he arrived on the flagship. The interior was quiet, far quieter than the day before. The soft hum of alien technology vibrated through the floor, and the glow from the consoles cast shifting shadows along the walls. He was guided by an unseen force toward the main engineering bay where Nerissa was already waiting. She stood near a massive console, her form serene and commanding, yet there was tension in her stance. Jace approached cautiously. "What happened?" he asked. "There has been another anomaly," she said, her voice low and urgent. "This time it is not minor. Someone is attempting to override the navigation system remotely. My fleet could be in danger within hours if I cannot stop it." Nerissa guided him through the diagnostics. The systems were complex, far beyond anything humans had ever built, yet patterns emerged. The sabotage was clever but predictable in one way. It exploited a flaw no alien mind had considered because they relied too heavily on strict protocols and pre-programmed logic. Jace, thinking like a human, saw the openings immediately. As he worked, Nerissa observed silently. She noted the way his hands moved over the alien controls, the way he anticipated problems before they arose, and the calm decisiveness with which he approached a system that could have terrified even her most experienced engineers. Humans, she realized, did not merely react. They adapted, improvised, and created solutions where none seemed possible. Hours passed, and the anomaly persisted. Jace traced it through multiple layers of the ship's network, following its signal through corridors of quantum circuits and fluctuating energy conduits. It was a digital puzzle, a challenge of intellect, and Jace thrived on challenges. Step by step, he closed off the rogue access points, rerouted power flows, and restored stability to the core navigation matrix. Just as he completed the final override, an alarm blared. Sensors detected movement in the lower decks. "Intruders," Nerissa said calmly. "They have found their way onto the ship." The intruders were skilled, bypassing security at multiple points, but Jace was not without advantage. He had memorized the ship's layout during his first visit and had already planned escape routes and traps. He led the Queen through a series of maintenance corridors, avoiding patrols and using the ship's own systems as cover. At one point, a security droid rounded a corner, its sensors sweeping the corridor. Jace ducked behind a console, then whispered a command that rerouted the lights, casting the droid into temporary confusion. Nerissa followed without question, impressed by his quick thinking. No alien engineer could have imagined such a tactic. Their logic was rigid, predictable, and limited by their protocols. Humans were different. They embraced unpredictability, and that difference saved them repeatedly. Eventually, they reached the central command deck. The intruders were attempting to access the main controls directly. Jace acted immediately, rerouting auxiliary power to seal the doors and disable external interfaces temporarily. The intruders cursed in their alien language, frustrated by the unexpected resistance. Jace felt a thrill. Danger was sharp and immediate, and human instincts shone brightest under pressure. "Almost there," he muttered. With careful precision, he bypassed the final security barrier, restoring full control to the navigation systems. The ship hummed steadily once more, its energy flows stabilized, and the rogue access was cut off completely. Nerissa turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly in the ambient light. "You have done more than repair my systems," she said. "You have protected my fleet. You have saved countless lives. I just did what needed to be done." Yet Jace knew this was only the beginning. If someone had tried once, they could try again and he would be ready. Nerissa spoke quietly, almost as if confessing a secret. "I have broken the rules for you, Jace. I have never done this for any other human. My council will not understand why I did this, and the consequences could be severe. But I could not ignore what I sensed in you." "Then we need a plan," he said, finally breaking the silence. "If someone tried once, they might try again. We can't rely on luck forever." Staying aboard the Queen's flagship was dangerous. The Council would not approve, and if anyone discovered his presence, the consequences could be disastrous. Yet the opportunity to contribute, to prove that humans could be more than they had ever been allowed, was irresistible. "I'll stay," he said, but only if we can secure the ship completely. Her expression softened slightly. And I must warn you, this will not be easy. The galaxy is vast, full of threats, and not all of them are visible. But I trust you, Jace. That is something rare, even among my people. Where alien engineers relied on brute force or rigid programming, he introduced flexibility, adaptability, and creative solutions. He set up redundant pathways, emergency overrides, and clever misdirections, ensuring that the ship could withstand attacks that no one else could anticipate. As the work concluded, Nyrissa paused, studying him. You have shown me the value of humans in ways I never expected. Your species is remarkable, Jace. Not because of strength or numbers, but because of mind, courage, and spirit. That is something my council will never fully appreciate yet. The Queen herself had seen it, and she had acted on it. For the first time, he felt that the galaxy was not an alien mystery beyond his reach. Humans belonged here, and their potential was limitless. As dawn approached, casting soft light through the flagship's translucent walls, Jace finally allowed himself a moment of rest. The Queen had gone to attend her duties, leaving him alone in the quiet hum of the ship. He sat back, exhausted but exhilarated, thinking of what had transpired. The rules had been broken, danger had been faced, and a human had proven that courage and ingenuity could change the course of events in ways no one had imagined. Outside the viewport, stars glittered like scattered diamonds across the black void. Jace realized that the galaxy was not just a place of rules, orders, and hierarchies. It was a place of opportunity. And humans, he understood now more than ever, had the power to seize that opportunity, to shine where others would have only seen limits. When sleep finally came, it was restless but filled with purpose. Jace dreamed of distant fleets, alien civilizations, and uncharted worlds. He dreamed not as a mere human in a vast galaxy, but as someone who could shape the future with courage, creativity, and determination. And somewhere deep in the flagship, the alien queen smiled quietly, knowing that her choice to seek out this human had changed the course of her fleet, and perhaps the galaxy itself. Jace woke to the quiet hum of the flagship's engines, the soft glow of the alien consoles casting shifting lights across the walls. He rubbed his eyes, feeling the fatigue of the previous nights, yet there was no time to rest. Nyrissa had requested his presence immediately after breakfast. Something was stirring in the outer sectors, an unidentified fleet, moving fast, approaching the outskirts of known space. The human engineer made his way to the command deck, moving swiftly through the corridors. Despite the familiarity of the ship, every step reminded him how alien it truly was. The walls seemed alive, energy flowing like veins beneath their smooth surfaces. He reached the control room and Nyrissa was already there, her expression focused, eyes scanning the display panels. "They are fast," she said without looking up. "And they are not broadcasting. They could be pirates, mercenaries, or worse. Do what you humans do best. Think differently. I will follow your lead. They expect us to defend normally, to act predictably. We won't do that." The idea was risky, and no alien commander had ever attempted such a tactic. But humans were different. They thrived on unpredictability. Nyrissa observed quietly, impressed. "Your thinking is unusual," she said. "Unusual is exactly what we need right now," Jace replied. The ship moved as he directed, silently sliding toward the edge of the sector. On the monitors, the enemy fleet advanced, confident in their approach. Jace initiated the decoy deployment, releasing holographic ships and energy signatures in a calculated pattern. The enemy, deceived by the illusions, shifted formation, thinking the flagship was vulnerable. "It's working," Nyrissa said softly, her eyes narrowing on the displays. "They are taking the bait. We need to act fast." The flagship moved in a sudden arc, slipping through the enemy fleet's center. The decoys diverted attacks, and Jace's precise timing allowed them to avoid direct confrontation. The enemy fleet was thrown into chaos, their formation broken, their advantage lost. Human tactics are remarkable, Nyrissa said, her voice filled with awe. No alien mind could have anticipated this. Hours passed and the immediate threat faded, but the flagship remained on high alert. Jace continued to monitor systems, adjusting energy flows, reinforcing shields, and preparing for any unexpected maneuvers. He noticed small anomalies, signs that someone within the fleet might still be attempting to interfere with the systems. "They're not done," he said to Nyrissa, pointing to the readouts. "There's still interference from another source. Someone is trying to hack our controls remotely again." He traced the interference, following its path through layers of alien circuitry, through conduits and energy flows that seemed almost alive. Every step required patience, precision, and intuition. Unlike the aliens, he did not rely solely on logic. He anticipated patterns, predicted behavior, and improvised solutions on the spot. Finally, he found the source, a hidden drone embedded deep within the flagship's auxiliary systems. It had been designed to mimic standard maintenance units, avoiding detection. "Here it is," Jace said. "If we remove it, we should eliminate the interference completely. One mistake, and it could trigger the entire system. I see now why humans are capable of what no other species can achieve. That is a gift rare among all species, human or otherwise." Suddenly, a new alert flashed across the display. This time, it was not a fleet or a hacker. It was a distress signal from a nearby human colony under attack. Jace's heart tightened. The colony was small, poorly defended, and vulnerable to the same fleet they had just encountered. "We have to help them," he said immediately. Nyrissa looked at him, then at the display. "The fleet could be destroyed if we move too quickly," she said. "But the humans, they have no other choice. I will follow your plan." Using a combination of energy shields, calculated maneuvers, and precise firepower, the human engineers and Nyrissa's fleet defended the colony. Jace directed operations with remarkable clarity, predicting enemy movements and adjusting tactics on the fly. Humans and aliens worked side by side, following the unconventional strategy that only a human mind could have devised. Hours later, the attack was repelled. The colony was safe, the enemy fleet forced to retreat, and the flagship remained secure. Nyrissa looked at Jace, her eyes reflecting gratitude and awe. "You have done what no alien could. You have saved countless lives today. Your species is extraordinary." The risks had been immense, but humans had proven themselves again. Courage, creativity, and determination had made the difference. And more than that, he had gained the trust and respect of the most powerful being in the galaxy. As the flagship returned to patrol routes, Jace sat quietly in the command deck. He reflected on the events of the past days. Humans were not just survivors. They were problem solvers, leaders, and heroes in ways the galaxy had yet to understand. And he, a single human among billions, had proven that one mind, guided by courage and ingenuity, could alter the course of events in a vast and dangerous universe. The stars outside the viewport twinkled like distant promises. Jace knew the challenges were far from over. There would be more threats, more crises, more tests of skill and courage. But he also knew that humans had something unique, something invaluable. And as long as he trusted in his instincts, embraced his creativity, and acted with courage, humans could face anything the galaxy threw at them. Nyrissa's voice interrupted his thoughts, calm yet powerful. "You have changed my perspective, Jace. Humans are not merely tools or servants. They are equals capable of extraordinary feats. Remember this always." And he, a single human engineer, had become a part of that legacy. As the flagship glided silently through space, Jace felt a thrill of anticipation. The universe was vast, mysterious, and full of dangers, but also full of possibilities. And humans, he realized, had the power to shape their destiny in ways no one could foresee. Tonight, the stars seemed brighter, the future more open, and the galaxy a place where courage and ingenuity could truly change everything. Jace felt the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. The flagship, now secure after the previous attacks, sailed through the dark reaches of space, but danger still loomed. He had grown accustomed to the hum of alien technology, the strange glow of energy conduits, and the Queen's quiet but intense presence. He had proven that humans were capable of thinking differently, acting boldly, and saving lives, yet he knew the galaxy would not stay calm for long. Nyrissa entered the command deck, her form radiating authority. Her eyes held the same quiet intensity, but there was something else today, a glimmer of concern. "Jace," she said, her voice calm but firm, "the Council has discovered some of the events that occurred. They are displeased, to say the least. My actions have not gone unnoticed." "What does that mean?" he asked cautiously. "They demand explanations," she replied, "and they question why I would allow a human to interfere in matters traditionally reserved for the highest levels of alien authority." Yet he also knew that retreating now would mean abandoning the fleet's defenses and the human colonies he had helped protect. He had a choice: hide and obey, or act and prove the value of humans once more. "I have an idea," Jace said, stepping closer to the console. "Let me show them. Let me demonstrate what we've achieved, and why humans can help the galaxy in ways no one else can." He highlighted the ways human ingenuity, creativity, and rapid thinking had turned impossible situations into victories. It was meticulous work, but he knew it would speak louder than words. Once prepared, they transmitted the presentation to the Council. Holographic images of fleets, colonies, and energy schematics shimmered before the Council members, who watched in stunned silence. Every calculation, every maneuver, and every act of improvisation was displayed. Jace's clear, logical explanations made even the most skeptical alien minds understand the decisions he had made. A long pause followed the presentation. Then one of the council elders, an imposing figure with multiple glowing eyes, spoke. "This human has done what none of our species could. He has thought differently, acted decisively, and protected not only your fleet, Queen Nyrissa, but countless others. Explain why he should not be punished for breaking protocol. He has earned my respect, and he has earned the right to continue contributing." The human had not only avoided punishment but had earned recognition in a way no alien had ever before granted. Jace exhaled quietly, relief flooding him. The Council's decision marked a turning point, not only for him, but for all humans in the galaxy. They were no longer just assistants or mediators. They were innovators, problem solvers, and heroes in their own right. Even as the Council concluded, an alert interrupted the moment. A signal from a distant system indicated another fleet approaching, larger and more organized than any they had faced. Jace felt his pulse quicken. The galaxy was never truly at peace. Yet this time he did not feel fear, he felt determination. "This is it," he said to Nyrissa, standing beside her at the tactical console. "We face the next challenge, and we'll do it together." He assigned key positions to alien ships, integrated decoys, and calculated precise maneuvers that would disrupt the enemy formation. The fleet moved according to his plan. As the enemy approached, they were drawn into the trap. Energy bursts, holographic decoys, and sudden fleet shifts created confusion, turning an overwhelming force into chaos. The enemy, expecting conventional tactics, found themselves outmatched not by strength but by human ingenuity. Nyrissa observed with quiet admiration. "Your mind, it is unlike any I have ever encountered. Humans truly are remarkable." Jace quickly calculated a countermove, using the flagship's unique systems to create a protective shield while simultaneously exploiting a weakness in the enemy vessel's formation. The strike succeeded, disabling the enemy ship without harming the crew. "Precision and creativity," he muttered. "That's what wins battles." The flagship and its fleet remained unscathed, their systems fully operational. When the battle ended, silence fell over the command deck. The stars outside the viewport seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the triumph. Jace felt a surge of pride, not just in himself, but in the potential of humans to rise above challenges that others deemed impossible. Nyrissa approached him, her presence calm but commanding. "You have done more than I ever imagined," she said. "Not only have you saved my fleet, but you have also shown that humans can shape the course of history in ways we never expected. You are no longer just a human engineer. You are a symbol of what your species can achieve." Recognition from the Queen, respect from the Council, and the proof of human potential, all of it combined into a feeling of accomplishment and purpose. "I only did what needed to be done," he said softly. "But that is exactly why it worked," Nyrissa replied. "You act without hesitation. You think creatively. You do not let fear guide your decisions. That is the essence of humanity, and why your species is extraordinary." Jace realized that humans were no longer merely participants. They were innovators, leaders, and heroes capable of shaping the future. Days later, as the flagship returned to routine patrols, Jace received messages from human colonies, expressing gratitude and admiration for the role he had played in protecting them. The recognition was overwhelming, but he remained humble, knowing that his work was only part of a larger effort. Even as life aboard the flagship resumed its rhythm, Jace could not ignore the feeling that the galaxy was changing. Humans were no longer underestimated, no longer seen as limited by tradition or physical ability. Their creativity, courage, and determination had been proven, and the ripple effect would be felt across countless systems. One evening, as Jace worked quietly in the engineering bay, Nyrissa appeared once more. She did not speak immediately, simply observing him as he adjusted systems and reviewed data. "You have changed my perspective, Jace," she said finally. "Humans are no longer just helpers or mediators. They are equals, capable of extraordinary feats. Your actions have proven that. You are a symbol of hope, Jace. Remember that." As the stars stretched beyond the viewport, Jace allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The Queen's fleet was secure, human colonies were safe, and the galaxy was beginning to see the value of a species long underestimated. The rules had been challenged, danger had been faced, and courage and ingenuity had prevailed. He realized that this was just the beginning. There would be more challenges, more enemies, and more tests of skill and bravery. But humanity had proven itself, and Jace knew that as long as humans trusted their instincts, embraced their creativity, and acted with courage, there was no obstacle they could not overcome. Nyrissa watched him quietly, a faint smile playing on her lips. "The galaxy is vast and dangerous," she said. "But with humans by our side, perhaps we can achieve something greater than any of us imagined." They were its innovators, its problem solvers, and its unexpected champions. And this was only the beginning of their story.